Misses my ears. Welcome to the Everyday Sniper. You got Frank at Snipers. Hoyd, and Chris is on his way home. He'll be on in a second. I told him just to jump in when he was ready, and so we could do that. But welcome to the Everyday Sniper. It is Wednesday, Hump Day. Howdy, everybody. Whoa, everybody's on quick. I got like names popping up. I was kind of going for a little Knights of the Seven Kingdom look. I kind of was liking that. Watching that Knights of the Seven Kingdom. They're doing a good job. And we figured out that the Mad King is Aeg's grandson. So the little kid, the Mad King from Game of Thrones, in case you're wondering, that's his grandson. And so that's where the history of it goes. But Knights of the Seven Kingdom's a good show, good stuff. And then Light is Right. Before Chris comes on, we'll talk a little weird shit. Like I love conspiracy theories and stuff, and I got my dark look. But anyway, I was just seeing why I went Light is Right, and we've been talking, Evening Blake, evening everybody. We were talking light bullets a lot, the 100 grainers and taking your 6.5 Creed down, even like the 25 Creed more, because Weatherby, rather, not Hornaday, Weatherby was talking about their new quarter cal 25 hunting bullet, their 25 rem or something. I don't know what is rum, something. Any Weatherby big bullet, right? But it's a 25. And so I have the evening toe cutter. The toe cutter. Remember the toe cutter, right? Mad Max, the toe cutter. Squirrel. But anyway, and so going that lighter, they're a 134. And I was telling everybody that 130 and lighter is doing a lot for us. So I was reading on X. Hey, Rusted. I was reading that they were looking at armor in archery, right? There's a whole subgenres of things. Like, we talk this niche of precision rifle and shooting and bolt guns. There it is, the Weatherby 20 RPM. The RPM, right? The toe cutter, yes. And the night sky with the toe cutter. And so that was one of my favorite movies, Road Warrior. Like I even got it for my birthday when Road Warrior came out, but Mad Max and all that. So I have like and then I remember it too with Mad Max and Road Warrior. Yeah, the Weatherby RPM, I'm all over the place. And so I remember it because friends of my family, one of the women was a hairdresser and makeup girl for the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders. And so on my like 16th birthday when Road Warrior came out, they had him call me. And so there was a bunch of cheerleaders on the phone for my 16th birthday. And so I remember, but I had gotten that VHS for my birthday, the Road Warrior, and then the toe cutter popped in. And then I got flashbacks because I'm old. And I was just like Vietnam flashback and going to the toe cutter. But yes, the Weatherby RPM I saw and was talking about. So the quarter Creedmoor, the 25 Creedmoor, the 25 Weatherby, and all these 25 calibers. And I've been telling everybody, watch the horizon. 25's coming over the horizon, ready to launch on us. Like right now, people just got like toes dipped into the 25. The 25's going to launch. And once they get, like the 25 Creedmoor is awesome, there's got to be one more. Like we need something 25, but not the Creedmoor. And people will get onto it. But the 25 is just amazing. So I was watching that 25 Weatherby. Sup? And I was watching that 25 Weatherby stuff, and I was reminded that, and I had said 25 over the horizon. But with the Knights, I'm all over the place, right? Knights of the Seven Kingdom, Knights, bows and arrows, long bows. So the question, I guess, was like they have very few arrows and heads from the day that they figure or believe goes through armor. And yeah, like a 25 Wildcat versus a 25 6. Because I know a lot of people in the old days ran a 25 6. We need a 2508. Yes, exactly that. And so something even, I don't want to go as small as like 20, there's 25 GT now, I guess, too, but I still want a little bit more case capacity than a GT. And so not a 47, not a 51, a 48 case, not a 51, not a 46, 48. And maybe that'll make the 2508 and people will jump on it. But back to the arrows. Well, they found this. They know they have like a high volume of, in like England and stuff, of this single barb, like plain arrow. It's not anything fancy, but it's high volume. Well, they determined that, Wendell, they determined that that arrow, the weight, and not as much like the design, but it's more the weight and the change of the bullet weight, the arrow weight with this head. They penetrated armor. What are you looking forward to, Robbie? Looking forward? Oh yeah. Oh, hey Frank, looking forward to this. Oh, even Robbie. I didn't know if you were looking forward to something specific or just us talking tonight. And so they penetrated fully rounded breastplate where most arrows don't penetrate. So they were able to get through armor from the medieval times with a light broadhead arrow with a single barb. And because of the volume they have of this type of head, they do believe they looked at it as the warhead. So anything that arrow-wise we think is really aggressive, really cool, really, because there's a combination of arrowheads out there. And we're like, cool, that's cool. Well, guess what? They don't work on a knight with armor. But this most basic head, because of its weight and the speed that it gets, will penetrate the armor. So the fact they're finally like, oh, we got through armor. Full plate. It was the full breastplate, not the chainmail. Like, I don't know if plate plus armor or chainmail, armor plus chainmail work. The article, the post that I saw only specified the plate, but it was a formed, rounded plate. So the plate design for the chest can ricochet the arrow, right? It's like a tank. So you shoot at a German tank, the bullet bounces off. The projectile bounces off. You shoot at a certain design of breastplate that's got that rounded feature, it bounces off. But they determined that this arrowhead from a longbow goes fast enough to penetrate armor. And like I said, they didn't talk chainmail because this was a revelation for the armor people that this basic one works and these other ones don't. So they're looking at, how speed back in the medieval times, because it's rocks again, throwing rocks. I mentioned this a bunch of times. We're throwing rocks. And what throwing a rock means is the faster rock wins. So a lighter rock going faster is better in some cases than a heavier rock going slower. Now, don't get me wrong. If you have a big, heavy rock and you're in range of it and can't move out of the way, you're fucked. But faster, lighter, even in the medieval times with arrows, was better. And again, looking at niche stuff, it's either like I'm either looking at aliens, conspiracy theories around aliens or something, or I'm looking at I'm looking at you know, like history and lessons and what can I take. Well, I like, look at this look. This look is really cool. This is not the green when it was the purple and red and then my flat look, and I changed my light a little bit. So it's kind of a cool, and then my beard is kind of got a cool look. I had to do purple shampoo to make sure like I don't get the yellow in my beard, and the purple shampoo's working. But I like this look, that look right there. But yeah, so I'm studying the arrows and the speed and how, and speed wins. Light is right. I've mentioned this a whole bunch. So that's where I wanted to kind of start off the show tonight, because Chris is running errands and he'll be on later, so him and I can get into. Yeah, exactly. And so they're trying to, hey, Myra, aliens, and now you got right, the total alien and the attentions, and then that things. Um, and so I'm with you, Myra. The aliens are the way to go, and then the Antarctica. Like, I'm totally like, why? What are we missing? I do believe it's breakaway now. I'm getting closer and closer to the idea of a breakaway versus the idea of aliens from space. Unless the aliens from space came here, called it home, and then are underground or something like that, that I can see as far as non-human or non-terrestrial, right? If they were non-terrestrial, I don't think they're coming and going the way we think now. Like, leaving, coming back, leaving, unless there are wormholes. And I haven't gone down the wormhole rabbit hole. The wormhole rabbit hole is tricky. But shooting wise, also today, I was listening to the guy, because everybody, I wanted to avoid the satanic cult. Well, yeah, they're cartel drones. Yeah, I think the aliens now were coming around to their ancient cultures, their breakaway. They were here before us, and then they had to basically go underground. Like, I like Sitchin, Zachariah Sitchin. He's the guy that decoded the Iraqi Syria stuff. And yeah, man, I think a 7-300. I think a 300. I'll get to the gun in a second. Gonna talk 7-300 PRC. I really like the 300 PRC over things like the Win Mag and some of the other calibers. I really like the volume, the recoil pulse, and the feeling of a 300 PRC. And I think Ira's here talking about necking it to a 7mm. Yes, I think that would work. I think a 7, and I would almost bet the 7-300 is a better recoil than the 7 PRC. Because the 7 PRC, when I shot it, was a thumper. I was like, dang, that hits a little. 7's always hit hard to me. I've never felt comfortable, me personally, I'm smaller, behind a 7. Although I've done and shot some amazing shots with a 7. And, I've done some really good stuff with a 7. But I've never been comfortable really behind a 7. I think a 7mm is great, me personally, but I would try a 7-300 PRC over some of the no, talking cornholio over here is I want to say I got a 7 wisdom, dude. I'm almost positive I got a 7 wisdom. I'm 9. Yeah, I want to say I own a Nasika Gap 7 wisdom that I used to shoot Allegheny. For some reason, I had 300 wisdom in my head. I want to say we shot 7 wisdoms. I shot the 175. And in Wheat Ridge, I have a 7 wisdom from George. And yeah, the 300 wisdom is fine. I don't mind a 300 wisdom. It's just weird. It doesn't, to me, they never fed well. So, like for a hunting, I have a lot. I mean, that the amount of time around a 300 wisdom is crazy because Alaska. A lot of, like, even one of my favorite people in Alaska shoots a 300 wisdom. You know, you get students over the years that are, you know, have an impact. And one of my favorite people from Alaska shoots a 300 wisdom. I was shooting. Let me back up. Let me get out of the gun or the aliens really quick, and I'm going to jump into that hunting and what we're talking about. Let me wrap up like the alien stuff fast. But yeah, so watching all this stuff, Antarctica intrigues me. I do believe there is an interdimensional side, but I also believe there's an pre-human part of this as well. So yeah, man. And then honestly, the alien stuff is great to avoid the Epstein stuff. The Epstein shit is just too crazy for me. I don't even want to go anywhere near the Epstein stuff. Are they eating kids? Probably. Are they doing? Probably. Are they drinking blood? Probably. And who wants to fucking go down that hole? I don't want to go down the deep state government. We're crazy. I'd rather go down the aliens in Antarctica rabbit hole. And as soon as they tell me Jeffrey Epstein had a house in Antarctica, I'm out of that. I'm going to go to something else. You know, it's like I can't even go to New Mexico and talk aliens in New Mexico because of Zorro Ranch. You know, so anyway, we're out of the aliens. We're out of that. We're going to go guns now. So 818, we're going guns. And so I want to talk this. My memory's back. Yes, at Allegheny ASC, and the last time I shot ASC was 2007. So I'm going way the fuck back in time. So 2007, I shoot ASC. No. Oh my God. So anyway, I had to do Chris. He's stuck. His thing wasn't working. Anyway, so um hang on, I gotta move my stuff out of the way a little bit. Sorry, I'm getting reset up for that. So let me go back in time. 2007, I shoot ASC the final time. My rifle for ASC was a 7 Wisdom. And I shot 175 grain 7 millimeter at 2900 even. And hang on, Chris has got a issue. He's not coming on. Hang on, Chris. Hang on, Chris. Waiting for hosts. I don't. My interview off, interview on. Knock again, Chris. Hang on, he's stuck. He can't get in for some reason. It may have moved, Chris. Hold on. I got multiple links up here. It may have changed the link. Sorry, Chris. Sorry, guys. Jeff blames the aliens. Yes, exactly. So he's saying every time Jeff and Bob go camping, Jeff wakes up with a sore butt, And Bob blames the aliens. I get it. They're tapping in. They are. Yeah, it's Chris is trying to get on. Yeah, Chris, hang on, man. I'm getting texts. Hold on. I don't know which one of these links is the right one. And I'm trying to get it over to Chris so he can. Gotta just try it. Says I'm good for the interview. Where am I? Why is he not on? What did it change? Let me get to interview. Hang on. Output options. Show picture in picture. Crop screen end. Show picture in picture. Recording. Sorry, man. He's like, he didn't come on time, and now I can't get him in. Oh, now he showed up. Now you're in.
Uh-oh.
Are you there? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Talking. I hear you. Say something.
Can I hear you?
Yeah, I hear you.
Oh, there you are. Yep.
Yeah.
Now you're in it.
I hear you.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know, dude.
This.
I think a link or something got changed because there's like 5 links under the share link, and I've gone back and forth and done something, and maybe Sunday when I was on, somehow the other link got hit. But like when I go on the interview link, there's like 5 of them because I've done it multiple times now, and so it was like the link you were using wasn't the link that I had.
Oh, yeah, I have one saved on the desktop, but I'm going to move this one to the desktop.
Yeah, that was probably an old one,
the
but
new
I got
one.
it itchy. Are you wait a minute. It sounds like you're out of my mic. Hang on.
Uh-oh. Hello?
No, you're good.
Hello.
There you are. You were out of my headphones, so and you were on the computer. I had to put you back on the headphones.
All right.
Yeah, you're good.
It to dark mode.
Yeah. Sorry, everybody. Everybody's like, ah! But no, we were talking aliens and weird shit, and then everybody started talking hunting rifles. We're talking 7mm. Because I was talking light is right in reference to the 100 grain and the lighter bullets. Even like I saw Joel Wise was doing a Seekins DMR rifle with the 80 grain VT rounds for the 6 arc. So he was getting 2950 out of a gas gun with the 80 grain 6 arc. So we were talking light is right. And so then I think you're echoing, so
Oh.
No, you're fine. I got it.
Somebody's got to tell me now.
No, I just hear myself in your ears. I don't know if that's bouncing off of yours, but if you're in your thing, you're fine. We're good. If anybody hears an echo, let me know. I don't see the sound. It echoes on. But anyway, yeah, so we're talking the 7, and I remembered, it took me a minute to fucking even remember that I had a 7 Wisdom I shot Allegheny with. And it was the one, the 175, I did 2,900, but like Gardner, Jeff Badley, and all of them shot a 180 grain at like 3050. So they were 150 feet higher with a heavier bullet than I was, but I shot a 175 7mm out of my 7 Wisdom at 2,900 even. So what we're talking about is Ira here wants to neck down a 300 PRC to 7. And I think that would work really well to have a 7-300.
Yeah, I think that would be cool. Um, is that something that's normally done, or is that considered wildcat still?
Well, it's a wildcat, but they do neck sevens around a lot because, like, everybody loves a seven, but then there's only so many sevens out there, and usually they're heavy thumpers, And so,
Yeah, but that gives the case capacity gives you the opportunity for speed with lighter bullets for the caliber, and 7 millimeter rounds have great BC, so that could be a really really good
yeah,
option.
yeah. And like I know the first time, like when we first shot the seven Wisms at ASC in West Virginia, we turned around at one of the points and shot backwards, and the target was like just shy of 2,000 yards. And like once we didn't have numbers at first, and we threw a couple rounds, and luckily ASC, the dirt and the way the hill was, we had good views. And so we got on the plate pretty quick. But when we passed that around to people, the average person was a second round hit at 2,000 yards with the seven, you
Wow,
know? And
that's
so
really
this,
good.
yeah, I mean, the sevens went really well. And so to me, the only thing that negatived it, and then, so here was another story with that seven. I shot ASC with the seven. I was a top 10, top five. I was always pretty good. I was a top five, came home and shot the Raton Sporting Rifle match the very next weekend. And I shot a 58 and came in second. Hoser from Pueblo beat me with a 59. And
Wow.
Allegheny's never, or the sporting rifle at the time had never been cleaned. That's that 60 shot, one shot only that CD used to do, and then they shut it
Hmm.
down on the backside of Raton. And so I went in with a seven, and that's one shot, make it or break it. In that, when it was Raton sporting rifle, and I shot a 58 out of a 60 with my ASC gun. And trust
Wow.
me, it was tuned in. Everything was good. But yeah, I came in second because Hoser beat me. Um and
Dang. Does Hoser
yeah,
still do his gas gun match?
he did. I thought they were bringing Pueblo back up again at a higher level because they fell off for a while. And then I started to see that Pueblo was coming back with matches. So maybe they're doing more in Pueblo again. They were at Carson for a while. And then the Pikes Peak people moved to Larkspur, which is quite a far north versus Pueblo and Fountain, and
Yeah.
where Carson is. But so, yeah, I don't know. But it changed for a while. And then I thought I saw something that said Pueblo was kicking up again.
Hmm. Well, with Pawnee gone, there's definitely room for needing more
What
matches.
happened to Pawnee? Did you get any backstory?
Just the landowner out there that's behind where they shoot didn't want people shooting there anymore, so the guy that owns the place just shut it down.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
yeah, you're the one to be. I was only 2,900 though. Yeah, I'm the one that beat up their steel. No, I was 7 millimeter at 2,900. I wasn't doing the 30-50 like George and them. I was a 7 mil at 2,900, so I wasn't beating up their steel. Too bad.
Hmm. That's funny. Just
Pretty
blame
bad.
Frank.
Yeah, yeah, it is. He is blaming me. What's James saying? James shot. He's been shooting a seven saw, 166 at 2820. Way less recoil than the seven saw he shot at Cameo with us. Okay, that make yeah. I mean, honestly, I'm the I like I watch recoil. I look at recoil. To me, recoil is the sauce to marksmanship, right? Recoil is what we're working on to make ourselves shoot better. Because without recoil, everybody would shoot the same, and it's the recoil that changes it. So to me, in 2026, I'm like, where's the recoil? Where's the recoil? Where's the recoil? And so that's where I'm at. I can see a 7.338. I mean, that to me that's a 7 PRC. A 7.338 is a 7 PRC. So on the high, Cornholio's talking about a 7.338, necking down a 338 to a 7. And to me, that's a PRC. That's probably the same case capacity, probably pretty damn close to.
It would be easier to neck down a 300 PRC.
Yes.
Than a 338.
And I like the case on a 300 PRC. I think that straight pipe with no rim on it recoils very straight, very push, not snap. And I think the recoil on the 300 PRC is better. I mean, it's not that far off. Right. It's not that far off of the 300 Norma. In the Norma, I love the recoil on a Norma, but I think the PRC is a little better. And what are they losing? Maybe 50 feet per second? What's the loss? It's not much.
It depends on, because I've only shot factory ammo, but it's less than 100 feet per second.
Because they're doing a 215.
The Army ammo was fast.
Yeah.
The Army ammo was like 250 feet faster. But
I got Army ammo here. We could check it. I still have a case of the ASR Army test ammo. And I do have Army spec 300 Norma 215s.
Shit.
Yeah, I do have it. And so we could always run it next to a 300. But what we'd have to do is put a 215 in like a 300 to compare it 1-to-1.
215 is a great bullet, though.
Right. It's an amazing bullet.
But I remember the Army ammo was about 250 feet faster. But the factory stuff, like the Burger that I got and the Hornady, it was like less than 100 different. But the 300 is so soft. And it's the same rifle. Like literally just change the barrel.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the Navy's 300 PRC and the Army's 300 Norma. The Navy's using the PRC. So you see the Navy guys come around and they're shooting the Barrett. And so they'll have the 300 PRC, but then the Army guys come around and they're shooting the Norma,
Because they could take it.
They could take it. I don't know. I like a Norma recoil. That doesn't bother me. And so I don't mind it.
It's fast and it's nice. Both those are great. I think that you need velocity for distance. So faster, lighter, 215's going faster. The Norma just feels like a pop, whereas the 300 is like whoosh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's boom, and then it's whoop, and it's not a snap. It doesn't like it doesn't. It's just a whoop, and instead of it being a pulling you to the side. And so that's why I was kind of saying with the light is right, because I sent you that article about the arrows where they found that lighter tip actually penetrated the medieval armor, and that a lot of people had looked at different like hunting style tips and different tips, and they weren't 100% convinced that the archery was effective for knights. But then when they found that this kind of mass-produced arrow they use could actually penetrate armor, then they start. Speed. Yes, it was lighter and faster. It had a single barb on it, and that they were able to penetrate curved made armor, not just a piece of steel, but the actual breastplate that has a curve to it, because the curve is arrow defense in itself, like a tank. There's the shape, right?
Yeah, but if you think about your 5.56 and steel, that's a small bullet going fast. It goes right through the steel.
Yes, it wrecks our steel up close. Right.
it pops a hole right through it. So that kind of makes sense. You got speed in a narrow, small point that, it ends up being like a high heel in the dirt, just whoop, goes right in.
Yes, right in the snow. High heel in the snow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. And so yeah, absolutely. And so that to me, that whole like I'm reading the article just and it was really just like, hey, that's interesting. Hey, that's interesting. Hey, wait a minute. Light is right. And that's where I was kind of
Mm-hmm.
going through like in between, Antarctica stuff and the funny thing is what they're trying to say with that Antarctica thing I was telling you about. They weren't really at Antarctica. They're saying like what you don't see is the guy was using Starlink to get around paying the ship's internet fee. And somebody said that's why he got it taken away, that he was trying to get around the internet fee, and it wasn't because he never really stepped on Antarctica. He was on the islands between Argentina and Antarctica. And I guess there's a main island these cruise ships all go to see a glacier, and it's an island, but
Mm-hmm.
it's still considered Argentina. And so somebody said this guy's full of shit. So that whole viral video with the guy supposedly went to Antarctica and they yanked his internet. He wasn't on Antarctica and he got his internet yanked because he didn't want to pay for it on the boat.
That's funny. That's really funny.
I'm currently looking into a 300 Norma MPA barreled actions. Looks promising for the money. I don't. I mean, everybody MPA is so huge with over there, but it's a PRS thing, right? So I'm not a prissy guy, and like Phil kind of went weird on me, and I don't know. He has a gun of mine that I need to get back because originally he was gonna put a AI AE in an MPA chassis for me, and then he decided, fuck that. And then when I tried to email him to get my gun back, nobody answered me. So I don't know anything about MPA. I do know they tried to bankroll the lawsuit against Terminus when Curtis fucked up. He was the bankroll for the lawsuits to help friggin' Curtis, and that didn't work out in their favor.
Really?
Yes, that Phil Cashin was one of the bankrollers in the lawsuit against Joel Russo. So I tend to be a fan of Joel's, so that might make sense why Phil's, disappeared with my rifle and decided not to do it anymore and doesn't answer my emails. But I'm gonna have Laura call him up. Yeah, but I don't know anything
Yeah,
about
I had it too.
MPA, who they use. I mean, I know they have the Curtis actions and the short action stuff now. I don't know who they use for long. And I've never heard a negative on their barrels. So I'm sure their machining is fine. And they probably use a Hawk Hill or some variant. But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't pay
When I
attention to
first
them
started
because
PRS, I got a MPA, and it didn't shoot to their guarantee, and he didn't honor it, so I sold it, and
yeah. I
they
mean, I
let the
shot
bad
that
taste in my mouth.
Valkyrie. That Kevin Drum had the Valkyrie in Pennsylvania. That was an MPA complete build in a Valkyrie. It shot amazing, especially with Kevin's hand loads. And so it was very good. And then I tried to get an AI AE put into, I had a spare one here, a cop turn in one. I only had like a 16-inch barrel. And I sent it to Phil because I said, hey, would you put this round action AI in your chassis? And he said, sure, that because people were putting the ATs in the chassis
Mm-hmm.
when Vision came up and people were breaking AI ATs out of the stock and then putting them in other chassis. I had a round one, which comes right out. And I said to
Mm-hmm.
Phil, I said, hey, would you do this? And he said, sure. And then I said, hey, are you doing that? He says, the gun's sitting in my office. And then after that, he vanished on me. I wrote him 3 times and he never answered. He never answered me with any of them. And then he doesn't go to SHOT Show. So I haven't been in the same place at the same time with Phil Cashin in forever. But he has my AE for probably 5 years now and never did it.
Oh. Yeah, I mean they don't honor their warranty, so
He
I
is.
get mad.
I can see he is very, you know, he's that kind of person. I could see it. Flipping
Um,
switches.
I forgot who it was on here that said to reach out to them for the 4x4 project, but if that person's on, um, I didn't get an email, but I also don't know how to reach out to them. But
Oh,
that
and they're
that
saying, hey, Ira, the guys on TheHide are saying ADG does 7,300 brass. So you don't even have to wildcat it. 65SH is saying ADG will do brass, has brass for that. So I don't know if you were looking at that, Ira there, or if you were going to do it yourself. But the guys on TheHide are saying ADG. And what's Noella saying? When HK was using the PDO, they later became the MP5. It was very effective armor defeating round. Speaks to the light is right. Speed decision. Yeah, light is right. Any way you look at it, you want to go a little lighter than the mainstream talks about. And
yeah,
if it's a 140, you do a 130. Unless you're doing that slow note and you have like the 153s in where they're doing it on purpose and they understand what they're doing, like Ryan with that slow. Yeah,
I
ADG
but HK
Ira.
guy was telling us about the 55 grain MP5 rounds, right? HK
Yes.
guy,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, HK guy was talking about a super secret, and it twisted both ways. So it spun one way and then it flipped around and spun the other way to make sure that it didn't have spin drift. But
You're
that's
right.
super secret HK guy stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Which Joe Rogan was talking when they were talking Epstein shit and flat Earth and weird stuff. They brought up that snipers use Coriolis, and the guy was saying all aircraft. He says because we never and it make I this is exactly what I was saying. Shooting distance, we don't leave the atmosphere that's dragged by the Earth. So the Earth drags its atmosphere. It's how we breathe. Like when the volcanoes go explode, they go straight up until they hit that part of the atmosphere and then they flatten out on the top. And then that's when you see movement in the smoke when it hits the top of the firmament, right? If we want to talk dome, the firmament, right? Above us is water, not space. If you want to do that. But the guy was saying all aircraft fly directly to where you're going. They don't do Coriolis unless you go out of the upper atmosphere. And that's why is Litz a Coriolis and spindrift guy? Because he's a rocket guy. Rockets go out of the atmosphere.
He wants to be an astronaut.
Well, he does want to be an astronaut, I bet, but he shoots rockets which are powered and go out of the atmosphere. So the spin of the Earth matters when they're doing calculations to hit shit out of the atmosphere. But inside the atmosphere, what he says is bullshit. He's selling you a human error as a mechanical problem. And the human error is 90% of us are right-handed. 90% of us pull the gun to the right, right? We're right-handed. We pull the bolt to the right. We push our head to the right. We're doing everything we possibly could do wrong behind a rifle to the right. So him saying 3% go to the left is just fixing a human error for 90% of the people out there. And then the 10% of us that see it and go, no, that's not what we're doing, we just ignore him. And he goes, yeah, it doesn't count for you. Even Gunsight, like I had said, where they told me, when I went to Gunsight and said, no, I'm not doing that, they said, you're just doing wind. Well, then I went back to Gunsight for their XLR course, and I had 5 people shooting the 300 Norma. And I'm giving everybody wind calls and getting center impacts. Then Walt Girl gives one of the students applied ballistics data, and he missed the plate on the wrong side of the wind. And I went, what did you do? And he said, I dialed in spin drift. I said, how much? He said this much. I said, that's wrong. We're hitting the wind with this. And now your bullet hit here. Let's
I got
measure
a
that.
question. I have a okay. Everybody that's watching this, everybody that's watching this, but you have to say something. Who has AB handy right now? Who has Hornady handy, and who has another calculator handy?
We all do.
Okay, so if we can get numbers from people, I want you to set the DA for 5,000. Okay, so we'll just set the DA for 5,000 because we have to have baselines. I want you to take. I'm looking for a box of ammo. We're gonna put in the same numbers.
Just do 2750. I mean, 338's
For what?
27 for
Well,
338.
but I have to give them a BC and a Hey, let me get a box of ammo. It's just 5 feet to the right.
What is it? Send it. What are you saying? Thank you for answering. Oh, I think that might be fine. My Norm, I rebarreled my AI Super Magnum to my Norma, and then I made my Zermatt is a 300 PRC. There's a lot of, I wouldn't have a problem. I mean, even try like a Josh Kuntz out there who's doing Hawk Hill, a Patriot Valley, anybody kind of who's in that PR prissy world is probably more than capable of spinning you up a rifle, like in a Norma. And yes, I agree. A budget Norma build is nice. One of my favorite rifles from Alaska. The guy had a completely carbon fibered out 300 Norma bear gun. He shot bears with a 5-inch can, and it was a very capable rifle. And he just had a light, you know, it was like 8 pound 300 Norma, and it was very nice. I still have a picture of me with it because I really like that rifle. But I mean, anybody on the East Coast, a reputable gunsmith, and I'm not saying MPA is negative in any way other than my experience with them has not been great lately, and I don't know why. I don't deal with them. It's mostly the prissy shit because he's prissy and I'm not. So he's a stakeholder in it, and because I attack it, so he basically just decided I was no good. Go ahead. Did you get
Okay.
numbers?
Yeah, yeah. So put in a 154 weight bullet. It's 153.5, but you can't do decimals for bullet weight. So 154 grain bullet at 2,700 with a G7 of 0.356 and a DA of 5,000. Put it in an 8 twist barrel with a 10-mile-an-hour wind from 3 o'clock or right to left. And we have to pick a height over bore. Mine are 3.5, but that's really high. Most people have a height over bore that's different. But
What
just to make
caliber were
sure,
you?
it's a 6.5 Creedmoor.
Okay, I was going to pick a 6.5 that I can just steal and copy. All
And
right. And you're
take
saying
out all the, just we'll put in those generic numbers. So I'll write it here. 6.5. 154
what's
grain.
your G what? Your G you're doing G7?
Yeah, G7 is
What's
0.356.
Whoa, that's high.
Height over bore, it's a heavy bullet though. Height over bore is 3.5, 8 twist, and a 10-mile-an-hour 3 o'clock.
8 twist, 100 yards, 5,000 feet. DA, I had 6 on here for us.
We could have
All
5,000 feet just as a
right, so I got everything in there.
okay. I'll put it in something. What do you have it in?
I got it in Traceal right now.
Okay, I'm going to put it in AB Quantum. Let me find profile. I'm going to make a new one. Let's see. 0.2. 4.
And what are you doing? A 10 mile an hour from 3 o'clock?
Yeah. Okay. Muzzle velocity 2,700. Or I'm just making up generic numbers. Sight height 3.5 inches.
I'm trying to make sure everything stays the way it's supposed to. Okay.
MRAD.
But I have my stuff turned off, so I'm not sure if it'll work right for you, but we'll see.
Hold on. But if we compare different
Yeah, the wind call. The wind
solvers.
call will be right. The wind call will be different because they'll add in because it'll throw in the difference with that because left and right on some of these apps are different. In the old days, I'm old. The old days, our wind was one direction because you used it for both sides. And then when Brian came around, we started getting two different wind calls.
Okay, and then we'll
But
look
in
at
the old days,
1,000 yards.
in the old days, it used to be the same. So I got my stuff in.
Oh, wait, let me make sure the environment is right.
Yeah, I'm 5,000 feet DA. I'm zeroed out. I got a 10 mile an hour wind from 3 o'clock. Or do you want to make it 9? Wonder if it changes it. Let me do 9 and see if it changes it. Okay, mine's the same because I don't have it turned on. So 9 o'clock or 3 o'clock, my wind and trace all stays the same. Because I have all my drifts off.
Okay, I
What do you
can't
got?
adjust the.
I got trace out too. Yeah, I'm on trace out. I do.
Okay,
Yep.
I got 5,000. Okay, so I have 1,000 yards. I've got.
What do you got for elevation?
7.6.
I got 7.2.
And 1 mil left.
I have
This
1.4.
Right. Let me change the wind to right to left. Okay. I have 7.4.
I have 7.4.
Okay.
But your other direction was different. You had 2/10 the other way.
Yeah. Well, so let's do that. Let's do 3 and 9.
Yeah, I just did on my program. It doesn't change the wind.
Okay, so I got 7.6 and 7.4, and
so they're telling you to put 2/10 of spin drift on for that.
1 mil versus 0.4. So it's 1 mil left or 0.4 right. Which is that's got some spin drift on it.
Right, you have spin drift in yours. I don't in mine.
Well, yeah, I just left it turned on, but it's a difference of a mil or 0.4. And also 2/10 of elevation. But I want to see what the other calculators have for elevation.
This says 7.3 with 1.4, and all my drifts should be off. Spin off, Frank. I'm spinned off.
Okay, so when the reason I wanted to do this, and we could just talk about our numbers because you have it in one calculator and I have it in another, and I didn't use Hornady, but I use Hornady more than anything. We put in the same numbers, right? All the same data, the same BC. That means that the algorithm that's used is different because you got 7.3, I got 7.4 and 7.6, and we got different winds.
Right. Strelock, I got guys on the hide with Strelock with 7.5 and 1.4. And then with AJ off and spin off, in Traceall, I got a Traceall guy who's about the same, 1.3 to 1.4 the wind. So we're all pretty close in the wind. Our elevations are off.
Our elevations are off, but my wind is 0.4 or 1. So either way, it's less. But what I'm saying is,
and everybody else is 1.4.
They have the calculators have their own algorithm that works based on their own formulas because that's how they have to work. And people assume it's real. Well, which one's real? The AB, the Tresol,
Or the
or
Strelok.
the Strelok, or and then we add all the other ones, and they're all different because they take the same inputs and they do their little calculations in their way to say this is the answer. Whereas gravity ballistics, you just say, hang on, you shoot, and you say the answer is whatever. That's the real answer. That's the real world. That's Mother Nature and a bullet, and it's telling you what the answer is, versus trusting a calculator that even though you put in the variables that are defined, it's our it's how humans try to make math work in the world, and it doesn't. But when you shoot a bullet, it tells you the answer. I mean, that's basic science. You do an experiment, you see the results and say that's how nature works. And then you try to understand that better. Instead, these guys are saying, well, our algorithms and our data is great, or oh, you got to adjust the BC now, and you got to tweak this and that and get it to match. And it's like gravity ballistics shows you reality, and these calculators don't always match. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. And when you're so married to the device that you ignore reality, you become stuck and you fall into rabbit holes and chat groups and go like balls deep into reloading and questioning BC and questioning your chronograph. And
I'm
all
gonna
of
I'm
the
gonna
things where
change. I'm gonna get the G1 number for the burger. But keep talking, and then I'm
it's
gonna try to. I want to. Oh, you have a G1?
no, this only has G7.
Right. I'm gonna ask Grok, and Grok will give me the G7. Hold on.
But all I'm saying is that most people have a calculator, whatever it is. They pull out their Kestrel, they pull out their phone app, and they say, this is it. But they don't use all of them with the same inputs to go, oh, fuck. They're all different. Whereas you could shoot, you can see the results, and you could say, well, whatever the case is, at that distance, I'm going to dial where it hits the water line. And so, first, you save a lot of bullets shooting and writing it down and saying, all right, it's 5 mils, it's 6.2 mils, it's 7.4 mils, because you have the information and it's done if you have good fundamentals. Now, the human error element is a big one that gets overlooked, because if you lay down and shoot prone and then get up and lay down and shoot prone, it's not likely it's going to be a one hole group. I have a picture today, dude, of 5 shots off tripod, and they are in one hole.
So
Anyway,
here's the data with the BC change. So I changed the BC from a G7 to the G1, and I get a 7.4 instead of a 7.3, and I get a 1.46 instead of a 1.4 even.
Yeah, so what is it? Well, my answer would be, hang on, let me shoot 1,000 yards.
Right.
And I'll tell you what it is. And if the wind's different one day, I'll shoot it and I'll write it down and I'll say, well, the wind was different, but this was it. And then I'll do the same thing on paper at 100, and I'll compare those to say, okay, was there variability in elevation left and right on my paper that matches the distance group? But I
we
think
got
that
new
it
numbers
doesn't
too.
get discussed. right? It doesn't get discussed enough that calculators are a person saying, I'm pretty sure this fits pretty good. And they put it in a thing, and you enter your velocity and you go, aha, the thing told me this. It's right. And then you shoot. And then, like what we see with students is, what's your data for 500? We'll dial it, but it's wrong, but it's hitting there. But this tells me to do that, but you keep hitting high, but dial down. No, this told me this. It's like, dude, just dial down 3/10 and shoot. Hit the water line. Okay, great. Write that down. Why? Because it told me to do this. Like, the bullet keeps going to the same place. Like, just write down that number. It's good. No, it's not. Look at my device. Oh my God.
Right. Well, and so Boone is coming in with AB, and he's saying he's got 7.97 elevation and 1.66 with our data. And then Robbie's asking what the craft wind would be for the wind, and he's asking if it would be a 1.7. I got a G1 of a 696, 694. I would probably round that to a 7-mile-an-hour gun. Yeah, one and a
I would
half.
call it 1.5. I
Right.
would say 1.5 would be craft wind, and we would call it good.
Yeah. So 1.5 Robbie versus the 1.46, which the G1 is closer.
Right.
Then
Based on that, I would just say hold 1.5, and you're
right?
gonna hit the plate.
I mean, not a lot of you guys are. I don't know if anybody from the Hide was ever in the me and Litz battles that went on for that period of time that Brian was on Sniper's Hide every night. But I always argued this with him about Believe the Bullet, about what I saw as my results, and he always argued the math. And so it's like, well, he's arguing the math and telling me the math says this, and I'm arguing and saying I see this in the real world because I used to go out and shoot it. I would talk.
But math isn't the real world. Math is its own entity in our minds that is actually perfect. But math doesn't mimic the real world. Math doesn't represent the real world.
That's why they change formulas, because they're trying to adjust the math to the real world, so the formulas get modified. So why a formula is this long and not this long?
Right. So they're using numbers in a mathematical way to try to model something that it doesn't adequately model. It's close, and when you adjust it from impact data and confirm it in different environments, the device will carry. So you could, but you need waterline data. You need the gravity ballistics first, and then you can adjust very carefully the curve, which is why I like Hornady, because you can adjust the curve, and that often matches close enough, but you have to be really careful. But we go out and take very specific measurements. We draw like a less than a 1-inch line across a plate, and we hit the line. We're not just hitting a plate.
And then when 6.5 throws in the numbers, the G1, Strelok matches Traceall. So if he puts the G1 and information in, he's pretty close to matching Traceall with Strelok. It's only, I guess it's 0.2 off in elevation. The wind is pretty close. But that's where everybody's been, about 0.3 variation in elevation. And that's a minute at 1,000 yards. And we've been 0.3 in the wind variation as well, I think. The wind has been less variation, about 0.2. But we've had 0.3 variation in elevation.
And the sad truth is the wind between the shooter and the target is never going to be a constant 10 miles an hour, 3 o'clock. And so there's no real way to validate that, except that if you model it, you can get it to match the conditions that, with when Doppler or other scintillation lasers they're going to be able to do pretty good, but they're still going to have to calibrate it to the result. So they're going to get a reading that's going to give them numbers, and those numbers are just numbers, and they're going to calibrate it to some variable to say hold this much, and that'll work, but it still won't be.
Yeah.
It's still, the bullet tells you what reality is. And so making sure, I think it's really important to make sure people understand that the bullet is telling you something about what happened, and reading that and interpreting that is more important than what does your box tell you. It could be you and it could be the environment. And that's why paper at 100 is important, and that's why shooting at distance is important, because the distance is going to match the paper, and if you can rule out the fundamentals, then it's giving you environmentals. But the bullet tells you what it went through,
Yeah.
no matter what.
No, and we're getting a lot like over Noel saying that Neil deGrasse Tyson said that math was a human way of explaining a natural world. And then 6'5's over here saying that how he sees like 22s past 300 show where the engines vary. And I had taken both Hornaday and AB to Gunsight's XLR course, and after 1800 they started separating pretty quick, pretty fast, where the AB was better than the Hornaday Kestrel wise.
Physics is trying to explain the natural world. Math and its concepts give us a tool that we can adjust, but it's not a base 10 numerical universe. It's just the universe. And so it's problematic when you try to take a system of thought and apply it to reality in a way that, so everybody has to, I guess my point is that all the calculators are going to be different. So what's right? Well, the bullet's right. That's it.
Right, but the only way we have to communicate with each other is through the calculator. One of the things, so Noella, real quick, I'm a squirrel. So he's saying how if you use a calendar as an example, leap years, how the math adds up, because we're supposed to have a 13-month year. And if you go by Mars time, our calendar lines up perfectly with a 13-month year, and the numbers will be exactly the same for every month if you use 13 months. So you have to do a 13-month calendar to get the calendar to work right. And in order to get the calendar to work right, you have to use Mars.
But the calculators that we use, right? The calculators we use, one's the lunar calendar,
yes,
and one is the Mayan calendar, and one's the Mars calendar, and it's like, well, what? And everybody's arguing over, and it's like, who cares?
Our metabolic system and our cycle is keyed into Mars's lunar or Mars's orbit, not our orbit. If you look at our cycle by math, just look at the math and break down our sleep and all of that we are on Mars's solar cycle. We are not on Earth's solar cycle. And they had to modify the calendars and everything to get Earth's solar cycle to line up. But our human mind and body is built off of Mars' solar year.
Lucy was a Martian.
Yes, Lucy in the sky, man. She absolutely was a Martian. We were Martians, is what they're saying. And, and that's all going back to this whole thing. That Earth and Mars being sisters were a lot more sisters than we want to admit, is what they kind of say.
Yeah, I mean, reality is reality.
They're asking, so I got the ACE. I have the ACE system. Cornholio's asking about this ACE system and calculators with this. Geoballistics is very good. It is an excellent app. It uses really good location services when you shoot. So like Geoballistics, A range can create range cards, host them, and you can download them and access them through Geoballistics. The Geoballistics system is actually way better than Applied Ballistics system. But Geoballistics didn't win the Solver Wars, but the Geoballistics that the Vortex is using is very good. And I've talked to the Geoballistics guy a couple times. He's very smart, and I would never say anything negative about Geoballistics. I think Vortex is good to use their own thing. I think Geoballistics is good, and I think the Vortex system is going to get tighter because of it. They're doing, I don't know if you saw, Chris, they're doing this linked now. So Vortex is linking all their devices across the apps. So they call it the
cool.
relay system.
I saw that you had that, but I haven't played with it yet, and I don't have.
I haven't even. I've been so busy. I was all day in the VA, and I got to do stuff and then travel. I haven't done anything sort of work related besides talking on the computer. If they did, good for Vortex. That's a smart buy. If Vortex bought Geoballistics, excellent. Range finding? No, I don't have their new binos. I've never had good lucks with Vortex's binos, but maybe this change in the system will change that. I know Chris had the binos and the Vortexes and used them until they basically got broken on the range. They didn't get broken for any reason other than hard use.
No, and they're right here. They still range, but they're the old ones that only range. They don't have ballistics.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay. So we don't have anything new Vortex other than the Ace.
I have the laser, the rangefinder, the Vortex rangefinder that has
this little one that has the relay now.
No, the original like weapon mounted laser.
Yeah, that should update to work with the relay. It's new enough. I bet you if you update it or firmware it, I bet you're in the relay world.
Well, we'll try it. That sounds
fun.
They
show it. It's here.
I want to shoot your pistol some more.
Yeah.
Damn it.
It's here. It's in the relay world. So, yes, if you upgrade your Vortex laser, it will put the relay system to it, and you should be able to use this relay system with your devices with Vortex. But I've always been a fan of Geoballistics, and even like I just got, since we're talking Salvers, I don't know how Light is Right turned into Salvers, but it did. I just got Gunther Eagleman's too, and he even has, so I got the Eagle one, and
what's
he's
it called? I'll download it and mess with it.
Eagle Ballistics. And I have to ask him, but it has a tripod button. And I want to know how the tripod button works better. More like in more
Wait, you got to
detail.
Explain that more. Like,
yes, I don't know what it does. There's a tripod button. Let me find it.
That doesn't make sense.
See, look, he's even got an offset. He's got his spin and Coriolis. He has 240 RPM, so he's changing the RPM for spin drift. And then he's got the gyroscopic stability number. He's got a lot of like really fine tuning stuff. But where is this? I want to find this. He's got a tripod button. See, like he's even got diagnostics, and it's got a sensitivity, right? Speed of sound, transonic range, accuracy analysis, sensitivity analysis, raw configuration, and then here it is, target mode. He's got shooting off a tripod, and it's a check button. Like, what is that check? Yes,
I don't know.
he has different wind profiles for canyon shooting. Um but
Hmm.
he does. It adds offsets, but I don't have all the details. He called me and I talked to him about it for a minute. But yes, it's got show valley and canyon winds, and it's a checkbox. It's got prefer fractions, shooting off a tripod, show temperature and pressure, moving target, relative wind for multi wind, hold for aerodynamic jump, max ord, and target mode, single or multi.
Well, we're gonna have to mess with this.
Yes, I haven't yet because I got it like around Christmas ish. But it's a big um
Yeah,
program,
I I've got it now, but shit. I mean, it's good to mess with all this stuff, and it seems fun.
Yes, yeah, totally, totally. But it does. It has some really neat features that I want to get into it. I just haven't like my mind. I even like I went to the VA today and I said to her, from Thanksgiving until even after Christmas, I was so in like with the book and all the different things that my head just never came out of it, and I just felt exhausted from it still. And so it just feels like that everything I did from Thanksgiving to now, I never caught up from. And so yeah, you
I
know.
need a nap. That's
I
what it
can't
feels
nap
like.
though. I need a nap too, and I can't friggin' nap. I'll fall asleep at 9 and then wake up at 11 and then be up till 3, but I can't nap.
That's terrible.
Hyman Al guy are locked in. You guys, I'm letting you know, NASCAR Daytona 500 qualifying is happening right now, and I'm talking to all of you instead of watching the Daytona 500 qualifying. I'm curious. So here for you guys who are race guys, new season starting. I'm 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 a Zilich fan. I like Connor Zilich. I'm not a fan of him at Trackhouse. I feel that's going to bite him. But I'm watching Corey Heim at 23XI because him and Zilich should be close. So I want to see the difference between Heim and Zilich. But Larson all the way. And yeah, they're qualifying right now. And Heim and Allgaier's running for junior, and he's locked in the Whiskey Traveler car. He's doing that number 40 Whiskey Traveler. Last year was super nice, super. They were so hyped. But we're not going. Because we got too much happening. We're driving to Missouri. Larson's fourth right now. Laura said we're driving to Missouri a full day early so we can watch the race in Missouri versus driving during the race. Because Monday we got to pick up our stuff. The race is on Sunday. I was going to drive up Sunday, pick up my keys Monday, but I'm going up IMSA. You know who's IMSA? Scott or Chris Anderson. I'm probably shooter from in our zone. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen Scott Whitehead on Facebook or anything. He's a shooter. He shoots with Chris Anderson. He's the car chief for Acura for IMSA this year. And we saw him at Major Land. And he is a team running for Acura for IMSA. So I wanted to go to an IMSA as well to see Chris. And so there's a
Okay.
shooter who's a IMSA chief. And, but yeah, so all of that happening, and I'm interested in the Ziller, Heim, Larson, of course, with the new format. But yeah, the qualifying's on. Laura's saying Larson's in fourth. But if you're in fourth, doesn't matter. You have to be 1 or 2 today. Otherwise,
Is it something I could watch, like, or do I need a special channel? Well, shit, it's 7:20. We should go watch NASCAR.
Well, okay, so Cornholio wants us to clarify light is right. Let's put it first in the context of the hand load versus a factory load. If you're hand loading the 153s and you have an SD less than 5, I would not tell you to change it. If you're shooting factory 153s, absolutely put that box down and go lighter. The 130 would be the heavy end. The 100 grain would be the light end. The reason I'm not being hard and fast is because velocity in your gun. If you're shooting comps, you potentially will go over the match speed limit with the 100 grain. So I don't want you to be DQ'd. Chris, they're asking a match etiquette question about. So if you want to, I don't know if you could see it.
Don't ask me that. Thoughts on match etiquette?
Yeah. So,
Guys
I
aren't
think
helping run the stage, not glassing, not running time. I love being. What do you mean guys aren't? Like the ROs or the shooters in the squad aren't? I mean, I don't think there's a standard set etiquette. It probably evolves over time.
yeah, it'll be the local group and how they feel about different people moving into different places.
Yeah.
Like, do they have a problem spotting, not helping, being the second RO when you're on deck? Like, is there any issues that way in the local group is going to be the decider on the etiquette. The etiquette is generally speaking match or location specific.
Yeah. But if you have a style that you prefer, I think it wouldn't hurt to tell the squad, hey, could we do this together as a group? It would be
I
helpful.
have not tried the 108, Robbie. When I get to Missouri, I'm going to set the reloader up, and I'm hoping I can play with hand loading some of these cartridges a little bit more. I've only done the 123 CNR, and at 2910, the 123 CNR at 2900, I have a SD out of my rifle of 4 with the factory ammo. It's amazing. There would be absolutely no reason for me to shoot anything other than that 123 grain out of that rifle because everything falls into place perfect. Now, if I can get that, if that 108 has a higher BC than the 100 grain VT, and I can hand load the 108 to 3,000 feet per second, which would be no problem, and get my SD, because here's what we see in the hand load pipeline. The slow node is easier for these guys. Yeah, see, and that's the problem. What Robbie's saying, he's got 3206 with an SD of 13. That's the speed not saying, but the 13, I see that out of a lot. Like 12 is a pretty average for me in a lot of my rifles and where the barrels are. And it really doesn't do me any favors. Then when I was hand loading some of this stuff, I was hitting in the speed node, I was hitting an SD of 8. And I'm like, below 10, single digit, I'm good. But then I started really focusing on the guys Chris is dealing with. And when I saw these numbers below 5, when I started looking at the numbers below 5, it really changed everything. So in the hand load world, where 10 years ago, if you said to me, Frank, I'm hand loading, Frank, I want to do this, my hand load is the speed I want, and I got an SD of 8, I would have said, you're good. Today, I don't think you're good. I think you got to be 5 or less in order to see the benefit. You know what I mean? Within our groups. No, the 1 second time of flight is for the 100-yard group. So if you got an SD of 4, that 1 second's going to push out farther. Because your vertical now, when the SD does appear, Robbie, is smaller.
Oh, we could map that out. I bet that would be a fun thing to do too. Also, like go down SD brackets past a second, calibrate it. But inside a second, it makes no difference.
Yeah. The group size inside the second is, if you're shooting shitty ammo or good ammo, inside a second, it should be your 100-yard group. So if you're now moving to the better bullet, that's when the 1 second separates the good from the bad. So now you go to 1.2 and 1.5, the better ammo is going to rise and the lesser is going to fall down hard. And that's what we see. The lesser
It'd be
ammo
cool
with
to
the
say, like, if we got SD of 10 and an SD of 5 and
a
saw
2 or something.
How far out they maintained that paper at 100 group.
Yes, that's what we would have to do. And I think that would be a fun experiment, to shoot a load with an SD of 5, to shoot a load with an SD of 10, and then take it out to the 1.5 or the 1.2 second time of flight and then compare them. That's what you would have to do.
Right. Totally.
And why we're saying too, so for Cornholio, to get back to you, the lighter bullet gets there quicker. So 1 second for a lighter bullet isn't the same as 1 second for a heavy bullet. So that's the other thing that we're talking the time of flight, but bringing it back down to the bullet weight. And it's why 6mm for the prissies and not a 308. It takes too long to leave the barrel, and it takes too long to get to the target. So if you do a little bitty bullet rather going fast, it's gone quicker. The little bitty bullet going fast, 1 second puts it at 800 and not 700. You know what I mean? And so that's the differences. So now your little light bullet in 1 second is better at 8 than the 153 that's falling down at 685.
Yeah. For sure. And then your recoil impulse. Like,
yeah, the heavies recoil more.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, what is he saying? So on the 108, same shape as the 123. Yeah, all the CNR should be pretty much the same shape. What's the 108 versus the 123? Is the 123 BC that much higher? Or are they pretty close? I don't have the numbers in front of me.
I've got 123s here on the shelf. I don't have 108.
Yeah, see, when Ryan shot the 153s, his SD was 0 to, like, let's call it a 3. So 3 to me is the match SD. Right? So I want to SD a 3 if I'm going to shoot a match. Right, in the 198 tips.
I do have the data for them. The 123 Lapua is...
I don't have any 7mm A tip data, Ira.
The G7 of a 123 is .263.
It doesn't, but it does. So Robbie's saying, I thought that the SD under 1.5 doesn't matter. Well, but it does. It's 1 second where it's the line. So 1.2 to 1.5, the smaller SD is always going to be better, because it's 1 second where it's going to start showing up. So you go 1.1, Robbie, the SD is going to start showing up. If your rifle has an SD of 20, right, that's this. If your rifle has an SD of 5, that's this. So the 5 is going to be in a smaller group than the 20 even where the SD shows up. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. So it does. But that's where these factors show up after. That's the ELR guys, right? The ELR people. It's all bullet for them. That's why they're spending $20 a bullet, because they got to load every single bullet so well. But the problem is the faster loads are harder to get that smaller SD, which is why with the 153, the slow node like Norma, Lapua, they load in the slow node. So if you take a box of Lapua, its muzzle velocity will be far slower than like a box of Hornady. And so what happens is um what happens is that slow node is easier. So when you're loading faster for higher velocity, it gets harder to get that single digit low SD out because it's a lot more powder. It's all throwing things around. A lot more variables kick in. And so the ELR people have to invest all their time into hand loading the bullet, because that's where the deciding factor is, the bullet.
Mm-hmm.
So Resignio's trying to call me. Look at this fuck. He won't come on the damn podcast. Hey, Mike, you fuck, get on the podcast. Look at him. He'll call me, but he won't come on. As soon as I tell Mike I'm going to bring him on the podcast, he disappears.
That's funny.
So they don't pay no attention. So yeah, I think that would be a good experiment, but it yes, it's printed. I haven't tested it. I saw it. The Spiro looks like a little bit of a Huxwork, so the front's a little different. But it is a printed can. It's getting some attention. But I was just looking at it the other day because they're all in the case at Mile High, and I was checking out with the guy at the suppressor counter. And I was like, I should just throw this on the friggin' bill right now because there's no cost to it. And so I was thinking of throwing one just on. I even said to Laura, I said, you should throw a can on here and do a can for yourself. And she just went upstairs and talked to Diane. But yes, it is a 3D printed cans. 3D printed cans are super cool. They sound quieter. They're, you could do less with more or more with less, more with less. So, but yeah, the 1 second time of flight is just saying, all of this stuff is your group size at 100 is going to carry to 1 second. But then after 1 second, you start getting your variables to appear. In which the variable we have for that is your standard deviation. And so the smaller deviation is always going to do better.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I'm just clarifying because they're confused in the 1.5 and why would it matter? But yeah, it does, because it would still be smaller. Instead of one round going over the plate, all the rounds stay in the plate. That's kind of the difference.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
You got it. You got it, man.
All right, what else we got? What time? How long we been on here? Yeah, we good, man. We could jump off, and I gotta go eat and go do some stuff. But yeah. Anything else, guys? It was a fun little time. We got a little weirded out with some stuff, but it was good. I could tell it's starting to get it because my glasses and my ears are hurting, so I must have been on long enough.
Yeah. Well, let's do some of these tests and shoot pistols, and we'll do the SD second time of flight.
We have to come back, right? We have to come back by Wednesday for Missouri because both of us have VA appointments. So we'll only be gone from Saturday till Wednesday. We'll be back Wednesday night. And so after that I can jump on or jump out
Okay.
and start doing some stuff. But between like I have to go to Wheat Ridge. One of the friggin' Bert G must have sent another package to me, because there's another box there at the house, and and my name is wrong, so it's got to be one of them.
Oh,
Um, and so, but yeah, we're just gonna be taking off and doing that, and yeah, we'll see what goes on.
okay.
But we'll be watching the Daytona 500. Good luck to Larson and all them, and then we'll be doing our thing. So race week, happy race week, and yeah, it'll just be a busy week for me, guys. I'm traveling. I got to get the house set up. I got to go measure. Got to go see what I could do. But then we'll be back home, and we can jump out and do some stuff as long as the weather cooperates, which it's been. We just had some weird winds. Um, but yeah, we're good. But that's a good thing for Chris. We'll do time of flights that way. We'll look at a 10. I thought you did do a 10 and a 5 at one point.
We didn't break down the standard deviations. We just shot it a second, second and a second and a quarter, second and a half.
Oh, that's what it
Uh,
was? Okay.
yeah, and some of them had good SDs, but it wasn't picked for the SD, which would be really good to do
Yeah.
because the time for the SD we could if if we have the SDs and we say where the group fell apart after a second, we'd be able to link it. I
Yes,
think that would be
directly to
cool.
the and you know what we don't have that I know of? We don't have a number that says an SD of 10 at 1,000 yards going to be a 10-inch variation. We just say you're going to string or you're going to not be great as compared to an
Right,
SD of 5. But we
right,
don't have, I don't know anybody's brought to me, a 10 at 1,000 did this and a 5 at 1,000 did this. I know with Ryan, I saw what his group did versus a box, but that was a 0 versus a box of ammo, and it was a 3-inch group versus 4 out of 5 on the plate.
mm-hmm.
And so that's anecdotal that way, but it wasn't the same. So
Right. But
cool,
it'll be
man.
good. I mean, we could do that. So that's a great test. I think that's cool. I actually have
Okay,
a couple things written down. So, all right,
awesome,
I'm gonna
guys.
try to find the race too.
Well, it's over now. The qualifying's over
Oh,
now. It was on FS1. They
oh,
just did qualifying today, but it'll be on all week. They'll be doing weird shit all week. Every day is something until Friday night, the truck race. Saturday night is the Xfinity race, and then Sunday's the Cup race.
gotcha.
Cool.
All right. Well, then I'll have to get updates from you. But it sounds fun.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys. Cheers. Thank you. Appreciate
All right.
everybody. We're
Yep.
out.